Hi, and welcome to the second episode of the Jersey Lore podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. And we watched episode 2.
We watched episode 2
of season 1.
Of the Jersey Shore.
Do you want to jump into it? Or
So maybe we should just recap the episode.
Okay.
So we've got Snooki decides to stay.
Yeah.
After her kind of chaotic first night.
Mm-hmm. You start to see, like, Angelina's bad side, which I think is kind of her only side. She just, like, hides it at first.
Yeah.
Sam and Ron get together.
The situation... The love triangle between the situation, Mike and Sammy. Vinny gets pink eye.
Mm-hmm. And we got the Ron juice.
Got the Ron juice.
For the first
We've
time.
got JWoww cheating on her boyfriend with Pauly D.
Yep.
A lot happened this episode.
The party was, quote, in Pauly D's pants tonight. That was the quote from Pauly D. My first quote that I took down was Angelina saying, "I didn't come here to work." When one of the very basic expectations of you when you join the show is that you work at the Shore store.
It's not
the way she acts like she's, like, above it, but then it's just, like, using that as an excuse to be lazy.
Yeah, the way that bartending isn't, like, leagues above selling t-shirts. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not...
And, like, you're too good for a job, that means that you're just going to be the best at it. But she was, like, the worst at it, and she was, like... Yeah, like, Danny kept coming for me. He was, like, bullying me, and he wasn't bullying Pauly. And it's like, yeah, because Pauly was making sales.
I was very proud of Pauly. I'm glad I'm not surprised that he's a good salesman. I think just the thing with Pauly is he doesn't come off all that intelligent. But he's very just likable. And I think that's why he's a good salesman. I don't know what my point was.
I think he's smarter than, like, Mike.
I don't know. Mike is funny, and this is another thing you kind of see in this episode, because he's always talking about, like, so much how he has all this game and that stuff, but it's, like, kind of, like, middle school level, like, his whole thing where he's, like...
everybody has to love me. If you don't love me, I will make you love me.
Or
that
just
was a quote
from
this episode.
The whole thing where he's, like, you know, like, Ronnie's talking about Sam... And he's like, oh, she has the best legs I've ever seen. And, you know, making these very, like, you know, kind of... Surface level comments. But then Mike is like, you know, Ronnie doesn't get it. Like, I got the real game. And then his comment is just like, you look very beautiful tonight, Sam.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, nailed it.
He's like, I got game.
Which, like... I don't think we can put it all on Mike the way things turn out. We're definitely going to get into it, but... Sam is definitely not she is, I think most of the onus
is on Mike. Oh.
Is on, okay.
Whoa. Here's my thing about it. And obviously, I think the situation is a lot more entertaining than Sam. I think I like him more. But at the same time, like, her treatment of Mike is kind of consistent with what she's said from the beginning. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Is she's like, oh, I want to have my... She didn't say it, but she basically had said, like, I want to have my hot girl summer. Like, I don't want to have a boyfriend. I want to, like, you know...
Yeah.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. And then kind of when Mike is in the hot tub and all that stuff, she had told him, like, do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that sort of thing. So, like, I don't know. And I definitely think... she maybe should have been a little bit more clear with him about that, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, the expectation seems to be with, like, when you go to the Jersey Shore, or when you go on this TV show at least, like, you're not there to, like, find love, you're there to kind of just, like, hook up. You're not there to find love. That's why you don't fall in love at the Jersey Shore.
Let's try that again.
Never fall in love at the Jersey Shore. So that's why I think maybe, and I feel bad for Mike, because I think he definitely got more attached to Sam than Sam was to him.
And like he actually, like, had a crush on her.
Had a crush on her, which is very sweet, but at the same time, it's not really... I think my thing is I can kind of see both sides of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's wholly Sam's fault, but I also don't, I think Mike maybe, thought they were more committed than, it just seems like a miscommunication.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what I had too. The main thing is, like, Mike was, like, too confident that Sam was, like, a sure thing.
For sure.
Because, like, throughout the episode, he keeps going, like, oh, it's not, like, a matter of, like, if I hook up with Sam, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
And so he was so confident in that he, like, kept trying to, like, play it cool and not, like, reveal that he actually liked her.
Mm-hmm.
And so because he never said explicitly that he liked her,
Yeah.
Sam didn't feel any obligation to him.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, but, like, I don't know, the stuff in the first episode where they're holding hands and they're hanging out a lot one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
and they're talking, that really did feel like the start of you, like, talking to someone, at least.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't have that with Ron at all, so for her to, like, jump from, like, holding hands with Mike and, like, talking a lot and, like, them being like, yeah, we make a really good team, to her just making out with Ron out of the blue.
Yeah.
That did kind of strike me as a little insensitive.
Yeah, it does. I don't know. I can kind of just see it from both sides, I think, is more.
Yeah. And it's just because Mike was playing it too cool and he was too confident that Sam only liked him.
Yeah, and I think, what was I don't know. I think there's such a contrast between Mike in the recording booth and Mike when he's doing the head,
yeah.
what is it called? Talking head things, and then Mike, like, actually in the show, because
he definitely likes to create, like, a narrative.
He likes to, like, I don't know, he's always, like, really overconfident and really he's really overconfident in the booth, but then when he's actually, like, on the show communicating with his other, like, housemates, like, he's like, I don't know, there's that conversation he's having with her in the kitchen where he's like, do you think there's some attraction? Like, and it's like, and I think I wrote that down as, is there any sort of attraction? And then I wrote awkward under it.
It comes off as just kind of, like, desperate or, like, needy.
Yeah, so I think there is that kind of contrast in Mike's personality where on the outside he wants to appear kind of like this tough, he doesn't get emotionally attached, he's only there to hook up, but on the inside he's like a whopper, right?
Yeah.
Is the whopper the...
Well, no, a whopper is, like, crunchy on the inside. Maybe, like, a Rolo.
What's
It has
in a
caramel
Rolo?
on the inside. It's chocolate on the outside, caramel on the inside.
So love feels like caramel?
It's softer than, it's not crunchy.
That works. Or like a milk dud?
Yeah.
He's a milk dud.
He's a milk dud.
Oh yeah, I think also my favorite bit is when you have the talking head shot of Mike going like, oh, I'm trying to, like, plant bombs, I'm trying to, like, make Sammy not want to hook up with Ron, but then the stuff he's saying is like, yeah, Ron's like...
He'll just hook up with anyone.
He's just crazy, but then it kind of backfires and she's like, that's hot. Like,
yeah.
That's hot. He's the badass. That's how she talks. She has, like, the Valley Girl voice.
Yeah.
It's really...
It's kind of... Because I feel like she doesn't do it as, like... Later in the show, she stops doing that. It almost felt like it was, like, intentional.
I wonder if it's, like... Because, like... I don't know if you get this, but I've definitely, like girls' voices kind of go up when they're talking to guys they like. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that's her version of, like, the sexy voice. They're like... Yeah, Ronnie's the badass. Like, I don't know, maybe that's her sexy voice.
Her, like, flirty voice where it's like, oh yeah, I totally listen to Dinosaur Jr. I'm not like other girls.
That's... You sound like the girl from,
The Grudge.
The Grudge.
I'm not like other girls. Another thing I wanted to touch on that I think is really wholesome is, like, kind of uncommon for, like, this, like, era, like, this decade, is the platonic bromance between Polly and Vinny.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, like, really big fans of each other. And it's, like... It's totally platonic, but I feel like you, like, didn't see that a lot, where, like, because that was, like, in, like, the age of, like, no homo and stuff like that. And so, like, there was the one part where somebody, like, comes for Vinny at the club, and then Polly was like, oh yeah, as soon as I saw him, like, starting to touch Vinny, I just, like, I don't know, I just lost it. It was like, that is so wholesome.
Yeah, I love how vague this whole, like, haters at the club thing is.
Also, like, the idea of, like, a hater, like, that was, like, such a thing. Like, when I was in, like, middle school or early high school, people would be like, yeah, don't let the haters get you down. And it is, like, obviously cringy because it happened, like, not that long ago, and it's, like, kind of funny. But at the same time, like, the idea of, like, a hater where it's like, yeah, like, these people, like, may not like you, but their reason behind it is not valid.
Yeah.
So, like, don't listen to, like, people being negative for no reason.
I think that's...
that's a good take to have.
I know. Especially coming from, like, for someone who, I don't know about you, I'm a little anxious, and I worry a lot of times about, like, people not liking me. And, like, I think it is just, like, a universal rule of life that I'm coming to accept, that it's just, like, some people aren't gonna like you, and you don't know why.
Yeah.
And, like...
Which Mike needs to figure that out.
It all loops around.
Around.
But I think, yeah, like, I can't name any examples of this because I have people who I know that listen to the podcast, but, like, just, yeah, I've been in situations before where I'm so stressed out of, like, why doesn't this person like me? Why doesn't whatever? And it's, like, just, or, like, why does this person dislike me? Or whatever. And it's just, like, don't, whatever.
Yeah,
like, don't even...
That's honestly, like, my
they're
therapist
they're
says
just a
that to
hater
me all
at the
time.
club.
Yeah, my therapist basically tells me don't listen to the haters.
At the club.
Because, like, when I was, obviously, like, when you're a kid, or, like, in, like, high school, you assume, like, oh, like, I'm so self-conscious, like, everyone's looking at me, like, everything's my fault, like, it must be something that I'm doing that's making people not like me, when it's, like, the reality is, like, everyone's insecure, and a lot of times people just take that out on other people.
Yes.
So, although, like, they may be making you feel bad, it doesn't have any valid basis.
It doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
It's entirely an externalization of their own problems.
Exactly. And you see that, and it's not just, like, popular kids, like, making, like, bullying the unpopular kids. It's, like, it happens in, like, every social sphere.
Yeah.
Like,
even when you're an adult, which I'm learning.
Yeah, like, people who, like, gas themselves up all the time and are just like, oh, yeah, I'm better than that person at that. It's really just because deep down they feel very insecure.
Exactly. Just like Mike.
Which, like, people, as we've seen in the show, like, this man is almost 30, like, that is a lesson that you don't necessarily learn very early on. It may take you a lifetime to figure that out. So, in conclusion, haters gonna hate.
Don't let the prices inflate. Haters gonna hate. Don't let the prices inflate. I learned that from my econ teacher. He was a hater though, because he hated taxes.
Ooh.
Yeah, anyway. What was my point? And I think you also see that with Angelina. Angelina and Mike, even though they clash in this episode, are, like, two sides of the same coin. Because they're both deeply insecure people that just take out all their insecurities.
But I think the difference between Angelina and Mike is that Mike, if given enough evidence, can admit when he's wrong.
Yes.
Angelina is physically incapable of doing that.
Yes.
And will always double down, even though she knows that she's, like, backing herself into a corner and making everyone hate her. She can never be wrong, which is one of the classic tenets of narcissism.
Damn.
Never being able to admit when you're wrong, even when you have all the evidence presented to you. That's what a narcissist is.
Yeah.
And that is why she gets so crazy so fast on the show, because she is always presented with evidence, and everyone is against her, and she's like, well, it's more important that I paint myself as the good guy than, like, patch up this relationship and, like, be able to coexist with these people.
And that's... sorry.
Just, like, it's always more important for her to be right than it is for her to have any friends at all. She's not the brightest tool in the shed.
You mean sharpest?
Either one. She oftentimes, when she's, like, doubling down on these takes, ends up just making herself sound really stupid. There are some narcissists who are really smart, and they will, like, be able to, I don't know, just
twist
like
things.
Yeah, they'll be able to like twist things really well and like, use like kind of like lawyer brain to, because like at the end of the day, like the English language is a social construct, and you can, if you have a mastery over the English language and like logic, you can argue anything. And like if you're using the right rhetoric, people will be like, oh yeah, I guess that's a fair point. But Angelina doesn't have that.
No.
So she's like, she's doing the same thing that other narcissists do, which is like doubling down and not being able to admit that you're wrong. But it just makes her sound ignorant.
Yeah. And this is the second episode in a row that's ended with Angelina being upset when the guys bring girls home.
Yes.
And I don't understand what that's all about. What do you think that's about? Do you think it's like she's jealous because she's single and she can't bring random people home?
Well, she's not single.
Or she's jealous that she is single. She is in a relationship. So that means she can't bring random people home, but she wants to bring random people home. Or do you think she's attracted to people, like attracted to the guys, and she wants them to like her, but they don't like her?
I think, yeah, it's the last one, where it's a similar thing to Mike, where it's like, I need everyone to be attracted to me.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't really have as valid an excuse this time. Because last time, like, the girls were being, like, gross.
Yes.
So she had a point, but this time they were literally just hanging out. They were not in the hot tub. They were just, like, sitting in a circle and smoking.
Yeah.
And she's like, if the girl's a slut, she should be abused. Like, they're just sitting in a circle.
Yeah, really.
Smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then later, when everybody's inside, she, like, calls them, like, zeros. Like, she's, like, mad that they're ugly.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does any of this concern you?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not, like, this time they're not, like, disrespecting the house. They're not disrespecting members of the house.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just hanging out.
I know.
Like, Snooki brought someone home that episode, and Angelina didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, exactly. I always wonder, like, how do the girls that are in these episodes, like, how do they feel about it? Do you know what I mean? Because, like, most of the girls that come back to the house are not sober.
Yeah.
And it's like, imagine if you went home with someone, you know, and you're not really in your right state of mind, and then a couple months later, it's just on national television. Like,
I mean, I'm assuming that, because if you're going to be signing any kind of legal document, you're not allowed to be intoxicated. So they had to have signed off on it after the fact.
Yeah, I mean...
Because, like, you can see, like, in episodes where people don't sign off on it, like, their faces are blurred out.
Yeah.
So and you're not allowed to sign a legal document if you're, like, not in your right frame of mind.
Yeah.
So they had to have okayed it.
Yeah. So but I wonder what they think about it now, because it's been 10 years, so they're probably, like, working professionals.
Could be, like, parents.
And parents, and you're like, oh, God, this is out here for the rest of my life. Or even, like, the guys, it doesn't even exclusively count towards the girls.
Like, the guy, like, Robbie or whoever who, like, throws up.
I know, yeah, I'm like that's out there.
Like, this guy's, like, not even paying attention to me, like, totally ignoring me, and then Robbie just, like, throws up on the floor.
I'm kind of, like, Snooki, you're glad he didn't want to make out with you, otherwise he would have puked in your mouth. Like, that's a good thing. Okay, I think I had pink eye when I was a kid. Vinny gets pink eye this episode. How do you get pink eye? Because I got pink eye when I was a kid, and I know, like, there's, like, if you get poop in your eye.
Yes, there's 2 ways.
Okay.
The first is the poop in the eye. The other is just, like, a kind of infection that you can get.
Yeah.
Because I knew some people in college, like, maybe, like, 2 people, and they were like, it's not the poop kind, it's the other kind, I promise.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a thing that, like, kids get often.
Yeah.
Because they don't, like, wash their hands all the time.
Oh, ew, is that why I got it? I got it when I was...
Or it could have been the infection kind.
I would like to think, maybe I was a very cleanly child. I would like to think I was a cleanly child.
So, and then because Vinny also gets a pink eye, he gets pink eye, like, in another season.
Does he?
Yeah. There's another season.
He's got sensitive little baby boy eyes.
Yeah. I think he just, like, I trust that Vinny is a clean person.
I feel like Vinny is a clean person.
I think it's just the infection.
You've got to imagine the Jersey Shore house is, like, rank, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know. And just, like, because everything about Vinny just, like, shouts, like, perfect good boy.
Yeah.
To me, in the first season.
In this, yes.
Because there's the stuff where he's like really like he's like genuinely upset that he can't go to work, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll totally get someone to cover for me. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then you have like Angelina, who doesn't have anything wrong with her eye.
Yeah.
She's just like, I didn't come here to work.
Because yeah, exactly. I think Vinny. This is really when I started to like Vinny, when I was watching the show, like, originally. Because also, like, he tends to just stay out of the actual drama. And he's just more there to, like, he's a good worker. He's a responsible worker. And it's weird because he's, like, what I think him and Snooki are the youngest people there. Like, they're newly 21. And yet,
season, they're 21,
he's, like, acting way more mature than, like, the majority of people in the house.
Yeah.
Just, like, in regards to his attitude towards work, which I think is really admirable. Yeah, no, I like Vinny, and I think he comes off really well in this episode. I think Snooki comes off really well in this episode. She kind of gets it together.
Yeah.
Everyone else kind of looks terrible in this one, because JWoww also cheats on her boyfriend this episode.
Yeah, I had a note where it's just alternate universe where JWoww didn't have a boyfriend season 1. Because she and, like, Polly, like, when he talks about her, he's like, yeah, we had, like, great chemistry. Like, I have, like, a genuinely good time with her.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they, like, actually kind of liked each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, if she hadn't had that boyfriend, they might have ended up dating.
That would have been fun. That would have been so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like JWoww and Polly are just such opposite, like, energies. You know what I mean?
But, like, in a way that, like, definitely, like, attracts
complements each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're, like, I feel like she's an, like, I don't even know. I was trying to make some
like
astrology.
A fire sign.
She's like a fire sign. He's
Polly's
like a
more earth
sign or something like that. Yeah.
Ooh, what if we guessed all the signs? And we could just do, like, elements.
Elements? Yeah.
Angelina is definitely an air sign. Absolutely.
What's your reasoning behind that?
Because their whole thing is, like, communication and, like, arguing and stuff. And a lot of Geminis that I've met kind of line up with the way that she is.
I think Mike is definitely a water sign. Because
he's
a
emotional.
Scorpio. Yep.
Yeah.
There we go. That checks out.
Yeah, he's definitely a water sign.
I
think Snooki's maybe a water sign.
I think Vinny's probably an earth sign.
Yeah.
Probably like a Capricorn or a Taurus.
I feel like he's like a Virgo.
A Virgo?
Because Virgo is like the most narky of the...
Narky?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like a narc.
Oh.
But like he's not like a narc, it's just like they're like the most like responsible.
Yeah.
Of the earth
I think
signs.
Vinny's definitely an earth sign. I think... I don't know. No one else has made a strong enough impression to...
Yeah.
Oh, how'd you feel about that, army girl? The army girl? Not army girl. Army ad.
Oh, the army ad where they made it look like, all the different kinds of people you could be in the army were just, like, a character you could choose in a video game.
Yeah. The one for the chef was, like, the replenisher.
Yeah, it's, like... On the one hand, like, I do not like gamer culture in the way that it's just, like, I don't know, like, a bunch of kids now think that, like, being a gamer is, like, a valid career choice and they don't have to think of any other options.
Yeah. And
it's just, like, a bunch of people sitting inside all day when, like, if I watch, like, a lot of TV, I feel, like, disgusting.
Yeah.
If I watch, like, more than 3 episodes of something, like, I need to, like, go take a walk or something.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because, like, the way you get good at it, the way you get good at anything is by practicing a lot and devoting a lot of time to it. Mm-hmm. So the way that these competitive gamers get really good is they just, like, lock themselves in their room and just play.
Yeah. I've never been, like, really into video games, but... For me, it's just, I don't know. Like, and I think, obviously, this is coming from people who hosted Jersey Shore podcast, meaning we've watched a lot of Jersey Shore, but it just doesn't really, like, I think you should be allowed to do something for fun, and I totally get that, but I think also it does, like, really encourage just, like, you can just play forever and ever and ever, or, like, you don't have to, and it's really bad, because you get these kids who are, like, super young on it and they don't understand the idea of, like, moderation, and then you get parents, like, I work in a restaurant, and, like, whenever the parents want to get their kids to be quiet, they just, like, put them on the iPad, like,
Yeah,
whatever.
I
And
hate
I'm like, I
that.
feel like that's not good for your kid's brain.
No.
And this comes from someone who doesn't have kids, but I'm
Yeah.
just like, that can't be good for your kid's brain.
Yeah.
I feel like in a couple years there's gonna be some big study about how, like, going on the internet from a young age, like, messed up people's brains, and
Absolutely.
they're gonna be like, oh, like, you guys used to, like, let kids go on the internet. That's like smoking while you're pregnant. Like, I feel like that's what it's gonna be like in,
Yeah.
like, 20 years.
And then also, like, the danger of it when you're, like, a teenager is that, like, as we talked about before, like, there are kids who, like, don't fit in.
Yeah.
And so for them, like, going on the internet and, like, playing video games is a form of escapism. And so it's like, yeah, it's great that you can, like, find a community online, but at the end of the day, you still need, like, IRL people skills.
Yeah, exactly.
So the way that, like, gamer culture is kind of like, oh, like, gamer culture is real, and, like, these are the only friends that you need.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, like, a productive thing to teach. And it really reminds me of, like, when I was, like, in high school, I used to watch, like, Dan and Phil.
Yeah.
And, like, their whole thing was they're like, oh, like, yeah, we're in our 20s and, like, don't know how to talk to people and, like, hate calling people on the phone, but it's okay because we're famous and we're on YouTube, so that means it's okay.
Yeah.
So then they had this huge cult following of, like, 13-year-old girls on Tumblr who were like, oh, yeah, it's okay for me to not learn social skills because it's hard.
Yeah.
And I have social anxiety, and it's okay. I have social anxiety, so that exempts me from trying.
Yeah.
And that's when I have a problem with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I totally, even though I wasn't on a gamer, like, just when I was younger, I would just spend a lot of time, like, on the internet, like, instead of, like, really learning, like, real social skills and that sort of thing. And I would just be like, why don't I have good friends? Why don't I have, like, social, like, whatever? And I would just go into kind of my internet hidey hole, but it's like, just, like, hanging out, like, on the internet and, like, gaming all the time, like, it's not real, like, it's a momentary escape. It's not a solution to the problem.
It's like drugs.
It's like, yeah, exactly.
Entertainment is the opiate of the people. Here we are doing a Jersey Shore comedy.
Yeah, how did we get here from Pauly D?
You brought up the army
The
ad.
army ad. Yeah, I was gonna make a joke about the military trying to recruit Guidos. Can you imagine dropping Ronnie?
I thought they were trying to recruit gamers.
They're trying to recruit gamer Guidos. Imagine dropping, like, Ronnie in, like, a little Iraqi village, and he's just, like, busting through walls, like, throwing.
Just had a lot of Ron juice.
He's loaded up with the Ron.
I love the smell of Ron juice in the morning.
Oh, is that Apocalypse Now?
Yeah.
Ronpocalypse Now. That's so stupid. Oh my god. Ronpocalypse Now. What was my point? Yeah. Go outside is my point.
Yeah, it's okay. So, cause my thing was like, yeah, like gamer culture, like, cause they're the kind of thing is like, oh, these like impressionable young boys who don't like have like a niche, so like they like go to being a gamer to feel like they can fit in. We can appeal to them by saying like, oh, this is another community that you can join.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yes, like being a gamer is not like a long-term solution, but also like don't join the military. Like there has to be some kind of
I would like to think that gamers are smarter than that. I would like to think that gamers aren't like, this is the new Fortnite expansion pack.
It's just that in their heads, that was what the army ad was thinking.
Yeah, the people at the army are real hip.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, I think my favorite moment from this episode was another Danny moment, and the part where it's Mike's first day at the t-shirt shop, and Danny's like, wait, what's your nickname again? And then like Mike goes, it's the situation. Like it was so deflating. It was so funny. Like, cause I don't know. That just reminds me of like.
It really reminds me of, okay, this is a perfect parallel. When I was in middle school, there was a kid in my grade who liked...
Are you gonna get in trouble for this?
No.
Okay.
He liked to be called Skull. Like, he was, like, I think he was, like rich and, like, popular, and he ended up, like, transferring to, like, some private school. But I remember there was, like, a period of, like, 6 months where, like, because he was in, like, my religious ed class, and my mom was the teacher, and she was like, oh, like, Bill or whatever his name was, and he's like, no, it's Skull.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have all that much more to say.
I had one more quote from the situation. The list of beings who like him: babies, dogs, hot girls, cougars. Everybody likes the situation.
It's like it's like the Titanic is sinking, and they're like, everybody, like, we only have, like, a certain amount of life safety rafts. Only dogs, babies, hot girls, and cougars. Everybody else has to stay on.
They put dogs before men.
Hey, aren't all men dogs?
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, also when JWoww leaves the club early to eat ham and drink water.
That's pretty much my diet.
I think that was about it for my notes. I tried to come up with a joke for when Snooki was describing her ideal man, and it was dark muscles, juice head Guido, and the only thing I could come with was gorilla, but that's also another name that she has for men that she's attracted to. Like a physical, like...
Wait, what was the name again?
Dark muscles, juice head Guido.
Oh, isn't that the name of that, like, Osama bin Laden movie?
Like Zero Dark 30?
Yeah. I don't think I can come back from that.
I think that's about it from me. I think I touched all the points.
We'll tune in next week for more babies, dogs, hot girls, and cougars.
Yeah.